Narrator says, Hollywood parties are a dazzling shop of lies. Every smile hides a motive. Every compliment conceals a jab. Tonight, Robert Downey Jr. was the shiniest, most expensive diamond in that shop. But some people don't come to buy the diamond. They come to throw mud at it. A smug journalist, Mark, approaches RDJ and his wife, Susan. Mark says, Robert, wow, look at you, the king of second chances. Honestly, a good PR team and an iron suit can erase quite a history, can't it? The room falls silent. Susan's eyes harden. RDJ's smile doesn't fade, but now it gleams like a cold, sharp diamond. Narrator says, that was a direct hit, an arrow aimed straight at old wounds. The crowd held its breath, waiting to see how the king would respond. RDJ says, stepping forward, locking eyes with Mark, erase? I don't erase my history, Mark. I sell it. I built a billion-dollar empire on that history. Every mistake is a brick in that fortress. My past isn't a stain, it's the formula. And judging by your stale champagne and borrowed confidence, you're still just hunting for the ingredients. Mark's face pales. He's got nothing to say. RDJ gives a faint smile, raises his glass, and turns to talk to his wife as if nothing happened. Narrator says, and just like that, with a single sentence, he showed he's not just an actor, but a captain forged in a storm. But where did this fight begin? Mark, the journalist, slinks away into the party crowd, humiliated. A young actor who witnessed it all gathers the courage to approach RDJ. Narrator says, words cut sharper than swords. In one moment, Robert Downey Jr. turned a venomous jab back on its wielder. But behind that arrow was a story only he knew. Young actor says, Mr. Downey, that was incredible. You said your past is your formula. Most people run from their past. You built an empire from it. How? RDJ looks at the young actor. The anger in his eyes is gone, replaced by a calm, like a sea after a storm. RDJ says, empire? Nah, kid. In the beginning, it wasn't an empire. It was a prison, and I was both the prisoner and the jailer. Young actor says, I don't get it. RDJ says, what you read in the papers, arrests, courts, addiction, those were just symptoms. The real disease was inside. Imagine having every talent in the world, a winning lottery ticket, and every day you deliberately set it on fire. That was my formula back then. Susan Downey, who's been listening quietly, now joins the conversation. Susan says, he wasn't just fighting addiction. He was fighting Hollywood, the courts, and most of all, himself. Every phone call could have been news of disaster. RDJ says, the scariest part wasn't that I was falling. The scariest part was that I enjoyed the fall. The young actor is stunned, speechless. The party's noise feels like a distant echo. All focus is on these three. Narrator says, there's a strange peace in destruction. When you've lost everything, there's nothing left to fear losing. Robert Downey Jr. was at that point. But fate had one final twist left for him. Young actor says, gathering courage, enjoy the fall? Then how did you stop? When someone starts thinking falling is flying, who can save them? RDJ doesn't answer right away. Instead, he looks at his wife, Susan, with a deep, grateful glance. RDJ says, no one can save you, except someone who comes into your life, whose loss scares you more than the thrill of your own destruction. When it's not just your life at stake, but someone else's love. Susan Downey, silent until now, joins in. Her voice blends firmness and affection. Susan says, I didn't save him. I gave him a choice. I told him, this addiction and I can't both stay in this life. You decide what you want. It wasn't a movie line. It was an ultimatum. Sometimes the greatest proof of love isn't support. It's holding up a mirror. RDJ says, and that was the first moment I felt I had something to lose. Something more valuable than the high. She gave me the why I needed, but the why was just the start. Young actor says, so what happened next? Hollywood had already written you off. How did they take you back? The young actor's question hangs in the air. How did Hollywood take you back? RDJ responds with a wry smile. RDJ says, take me back? Laughs. Oh, they didn't take me back. They slammed the doors shut, stopped answering calls, and insurance companies slapped a big uninsurable stamp on my name. I was an actor no producer would risk working with. Susan says, it wasn't just about getting roles. No one would insure him for a film. An actor who can't be insured is like a ghost in the industry. Present, but untouchable. Young actor says, so, where did it start? Our DJ says, it started with killing my ego. I did what any drowning man does. I grabbed onto small lifelines. I took indie films, small roles for low pay. I showed up early every day, knew my lines, and kept my head down. I wasn't just acting, I was earning trust. Susan says, a few people believed in him during that dark time. Directors like Mel Gibson and Shane Black gave him chances when no one else would. Young actor says, that sounds harder than becoming Iron Man, rebuilding a shattered reputation. Our DJ says, it was tough but necessary. Because when Marvel was looking for an Iron Man, they didn't want someone who could pretend to be a hero. They needed someone who knew what it meant to break and rebuild. And for that job, my audition had been running for the past 10 years. The young actor's eyes shine with awe and respect, absorbing our DJ's words. Young actor says, your audition, but I heard Marvel Studios was scared to cast you? That was a huge risk. Our DJ says, scared? That's an understatement. They didn't want me anywhere near the project. Marvel was a new studio, and Iron Man was their first big independent film. They weren't about to bet everything on a guy. The industry had labeled a has-been. Narrator says, it was true. The studio wanted a clean, safe actor, but fate had other plans. Susan says, but the director, Jon Favreau, had a clear vision. He told the studio, we don't need someone to play Tony Stark. Robert is Tony Stark. He fought hard for Robert, convinced them to do a screen test. Young actor says, so it all came down to one screen test? Our DJ says, taking a deep breath, when I read the script, it felt like I was reading my own story. A brilliant guy whose own genius was destroying him. A man who had everything but was hollow inside. I didn't need to act for that role. I just had to remember. I poured all my pain, all my struggle, all my hope into that one screen test. Our DJ says, and in the end, they had to admit it. They saw I wasn't just playing Tony Stark. I understood his soul. That armor, that iron suit. I've been trying to build it in my real life for years to fight my own demons. The young actor's eyes gleam, deeply moved by our DJ's comeback story. Young actor says, so you put on the armor and conquer the world. That's like a fairy tale ending. Our DJ says, with a deep smile, fairy tales? Laughs, fairy tales end with, and they lived happily ever after. Real life starts there. Wearing the armor was one thing. Keeping it on every day was another. Narrator says, to the world, Robert Downey Jr. had returned. But the real fight was just beginning. The fear of failure had been replaced by the pressure of success. Susan says, before, we feared failure. Now, we feared the way to success. He wasn't just an actor anymore. He was a brand, the face of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. One mistake could have put that whole universe at risk. The pressure was 10 times greater than before. Young actor says, and keeping your past in check with all that pressure. How did you do it? Our DJ says, that old demon, it never fully dies. It's always lurking in the corner, waiting for you to slip. Before, I had nothing to lose. Now, I had everything I couldn't afford to lose, my family, my career, the hopes of millions. So the fight was bigger and quieter. Young actor says, did it ever feel like Robert Downey Jr. got lost and only Tony Stark remained? The young actor's question echoes. Did it ever feel like Robert Downey Jr. got lost and only Tony Stark remained? Our DJ pauses, as if feeling the weight of the question. Narrator says, it's an actor's greatest risk when their role overshadows their identity. When people call you by your character's name, not your own. Our DJ says, lost? No, that's not the right word. It's more like we became one. There was a time I didn't know where Robert ended and Tony began. Our stories were so similar. A brilliant, arrogant, self-destructive man who had to save himself before saving the world. Susan says, I saw it with my own eyes. Sometimes on set, he'd say a line that wasn't in the script, but it was perfect for Tony Stark, because he was pulling it from his own life's experience. Young actor says, but wasn't that scary? The fear of losing yourself. Our DJ says, "It was at first, but then I realized it was a gift. I turned my greatest pain into my greatest strength. I took all those mistakes, all those dark nights, and built a character that gave hope to millions. I made medicine for my poison." Our DJ says, "So yeah, in a way, Robert Downey Jr. had to die for Iron Man to live. But it wasn't death, it was transformation. A transformation that made me the man I am today." A quiet, almost somber silence settles. The young actor processes our DJ's confession. The young actor says, "Creating a character is one thing, but saying goodbye to it, especially when it's become part of you. What was it like saying goodbye to Tony Stark in Avengers Endgame?" Our DJ says, taking a long breath, "It was like saying goodbye to my best friend. We started this journey together. 10 years. We grew up together, changed together. Giving the character a dignified, meaningful end was my greatest responsibility. We wanted his sacrifice to mean something." Narrator says, "And that ending became history. One snap, one line that changed everything." Susan says, "Did you know the 'I am Iron Man' line wasn't in the script? It was added at the last moment. It was Robert's idea. It wasn't just Tony Stark's ending. It was the closure of Robert's 10-year journey, ending where it began." Young actor says, "That's incredible." Our DJ says, "After filming that final scene, I felt like I'd taken off the armor for good. There was relief, like the weight was gone. But there was also an emptiness. What now? I'd built my whole identity around that character. Without it, who is Robert Downey Jr.?" Young actor says, "So, did you find the answer? Without Iron Man, who are you?" Our DJ takes a long, calm breath, glances at Susan with a smile, then turns back to the young actor. Narrator says, "Sometimes the hardest question has the simplest answer. An answer hidden not in the glare of fame, but in the quiet truths of life." Our DJ says, "For years, I didn't know the answer to that. I was either a prisoner of my past or a superhero of the future. I was never in the present. The Iron Man role was like a mask, a beautiful, expensive mask, but still a mask." Our DJ says, "Without Iron Man," pausing for a moment, "I'm the guy who's Susan's husband. I'm a dad to my kids. I'm a producer who wants to tell new stories and give new talent a chance. I'm the guy who wakes up thinking not about saving a fictional world, but about saving this real planet." Susan says, "He laughs more now. His laugh isn't Tony Stark's sarcastic quip anymore. It's real. He's taken off the armor, and he feels freer, lighter." Young actor says, in awe, "So your comeback story didn't end with becoming Iron Man. It really began when you left Iron Man behind." Our DJ says, "Exactly. The armor can teach you to fly, but in the end, you have to walk the earth. And the real peace is right here on the ground." Our DJ places a friendly hand on the young actor's shoulder. The conversation reaches its end. Narrator says, "And with that one sentence, the conversation came to a close. The party's lights and laughter, which had faded into the background, began to resurface. But those three people were no longer the same, especially the young actor, who tonight saw not just a star, but a story brought to life." Narrator says, "We started with a biting jab and ended with a profound truth. We saw a journey from prison bars to a billion-dollar suit of armor. This wasn't just an actor's comeback. It was a human story of rebuilding himself." Narrator says, "Robert Downey Jr.'s story teaches us that your past isn't your prison. It can be your greatest lesson. Your biggest weakness can become your greatest strength. And the real Iron Man isn't the one who never falls, but the one who rises stronger every time." Narrator says, "So what do you think? Does a second chance come from luck, or is it seized through courage and hard work? And is a person's true identity defined by their mistakes, or by what they learn to become a legend?" Narrator says, "Share your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to Character Study, and until our next journey, goodbye."